Hi, John.
Hi.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening.
Welcome to, welcome to 30 minutes on Ideal Health. Uh, we're going to start, right? It's time. So, it's 30 minutes on Ideal Health, and of course, I'm Ibuka, and I have my professor, uh,
Hmm.
the president of the US, the only man that sports medicine hears his voice, and everywhere just starts shaking. He's my able class governor, and Unilag knows him. Everywhere knows him. Once you call Gimme Join, UI bows. Unilag bows. And right now, University of Minnesota. Yes, sir. So we have Ogini John here, and Ogini John will be talking about um, exercise during pregnancy. And this is one of very sensitive topics um, that is supposed to be frequently discussed by people. But then again, we we also always find it like things that people want to get knowledge of, but then they rarely get um, good information, because the nature of exercise looks like it's something that is physically strenuous, and barely looking at it, calling it exercise, can think like, oh, something might go wrong during pregnancy if you engage in it. So this is the time we'll have to put out some information there, some very accurate facts, of course, on exercise and pregnancy. So what is it that uh, yeah, why should exercise be observed during pregnancy? Are there benefits, and a whole lot of other questions that will be taken from viewers and everybody. So, John, how is everything? How is US this evening? Oh, sorry, I think
Okay.
morning,
Yeah.
because it's evening there.
Yeah. Exactly. 10 over here, and it's pretty well. Weather is a bit warm today.
Okay.
Pretty.
Okay. Uh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can
John,
hear
can you hear me? Okay, I can hear you too. I think your voice went off at the point. So, John, briefly, I would want you to, before we start talking about exercise and pregnancy, I would want you to briefly give us an insight into what exercise should look like. What exactly is exercise, and what is it like to say someone is involved in exercise? Are there any things that should be looked out during exercise? Then before we now start relating it to pregnancy.
Okay. Yeah. So, a lot of people make what exercise is with physical, activity, and it's kind of different. So I've just tried to shed more light on that this morning. So when we say exercise, a lot of people say I'm exercising, I want to go and exercise, I want to do this and that. Some people actually physical exercise, and some physical activity, and so exercise simply means when your physical activity is a bit structured, and it requires a bit of um, different, it's repetitive, and it's gradual, and you have a particular goal you want to meet. For example, you tell yourself that I want to lose weight, which is very popular among a lot of population. This weight thing is something like it looks like an epidemic, and that's not this scope of my topic. But then we should not look at fat as a problem. It's just something we need to survive, right? But so let's just use the example of like this weight. So you want to lose weight and you say, okay, I want to exercise. So that means that you want to follow a plan. So exercise means like you're following a plan. I will be exercising about 3 times in a day. That's like the number of times you want to exercise. So I'll be doing I want to be exercising for about 30 minutes in a day. That's like the time frame. Now I want to be doing things like jogging, or I want to walk on the treadmill. That's the mode and the type of exercise you want to do. So because you have that plan structured and you doing it for a particular goal, right? That's like an exercise. So it's structured kind of physical activity. But when I talk about physical, it's just something you do that you will make your muscle move and you will expend a bit of energy. For example, now I can decide like I just want to take a kind of walk within my compound, whether it's 20 minutes, you don't want to walk, right? So while doing that, you actually expend a bit of energy and you're using your muscle to do that. Okay, for example, let's say you want to pick something from your kitchen or you want to do something outside. Instead of sending maybe your children, you just say, let me go, right? So you walk down there. Let's say you live a kind of like a 2-story building. You want to pick something at the first floor. Instead of using the lift, you say, let me use the stairs, right? So like you kind of expend energy by using your muscle. So your muscle be like start working by contracting, and then by that you start expending energy, and that means like you're burning a bit of calorie. But it's not really planned like, okay, you want to do this for 30 minutes, then you want to have this kind of what I want to do. I want to jog, I want to work on treadmill, or you want to say that I want to, do it for a set of 6 weeks or 12 weeks or something like that. So that's just the difference between exercise, physical activity. Yeah.
So can exercise, sorry, can physical activity at any point take the place of exercise?
Very interesting is that we have these kind of mind that there's this like superiority between exercise and physical activity. And I think we need to balance that this morning by letting you understand that exercise is very important. But I think we need to look into both and give both importance, because if you give less importance to how you actually maintain life, there's no way like keep healthy. Because the thing is that for you to be ready to yourself, after 12 weeks of an exercise program, what happens next? Do you relapse? Do you take some breaks? If you do that, that means whatsoever you have worked for over the 6 weeks or 12 weeks might actually happen again. So for you to sustain that and maintain that physical fitness, like this one is superior or not. The main thing is that promoting your physical life is the most exercise very important, most especially for sport performance. Because there's no way you can't use physical activity in line with sport performance, because you need to maximize your training to a particular level to perform in a particular level. But for people who like a day-to-day activity, you work and then you go to your place of work, you do this and that. Not really that you have time like you want to go an exercise regime. I think it's important to actually focus on how do you make your day-to-day activity an active one in such a way that you can promote your lifestyle by engaging in physical activity. And when you think you want to be more specific about something, I want to lose weight, I want to do this between next 12 weeks, then you go on planning, then you go structured, you have it structured, you make it plan, and you make it repetitive. But apart from that, make sure that you cultivating an active lifestyle is very important. In that way, you're gonna maintain your outcome of your exercise so well that after by age 40, you're still looking fit, and 50, you're still looking fit. So that's the way I would explain it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jen. So let's quickly look into exercise in pregnancy properly. For me, maybe before now, the thing that comes to my head whenever you're talking about exercise is stress. Like something that is usually physically strenuous. Although my idea of that might not be totally correct, right? And I look at it like during pregnancy, that is should I say, the most fragile time or period in a human life, or a woman's life. Let me use a woman's life. So I think for me, I find it weird that people are encouraged, right, to engage in things that are physically strenuous, and most people would think that, okay, it could even lead to complications, it could lead to premature abortions, it could lead to even weigh down the woman and several other things or several other fears that people will be entertaining. So I'm just like asking you this morning, or sorry, this morning. What do you think about exercise in pregnancy? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it can lead to complications? Do you think it's good? And if it's good, are there benefits? And if it's not good, why is it not good? So maybe you can.
All right. That's a good question, because a lot of people have this mind that pregnancy stage is a very sensitive stage, right?
Yeah.
And very, I don't want to be stressed because I'm keeping something right inside me, and I don't want. So I don't want something stressful, which is important. Even we hear that in the hospital, though maybe I've not experienced like having someone giving birth, but I understand. Know that we used to hear that don't try to be to reduce your stress during pregnancy. But the good thing about it is that, the good thing about what we about this in this sharing this morning, like regarding exercise and pregnancy, is that pregnancy is actually like a unique time and opportunity to actually stay fit. So, as sensitive as the stage is, it's very important to stay fit, and it's also important to engage in physical activity. And it's not the standpoint of I just like came this morning and start saying, oh, let's go exercising. I'm talking about from research standpoint. And for example, the American College of Sport Medicine, which is like one of the biggest association, talking about guidelines regarding exercise. Also, guide pregnancy and exercise. So it's the information is coming from a research standpoint, not just like someone is bringing up something. So I'm saying this morning that exercise, or we call it physical activity. So I'm going to use the word interchangeably this morning, but please know that it's kind of different, but I'm going to just permit me to use interchangeably because some people might not. So what exercise and physical activity is very important during pregnancy. Though there is a bit of modification based on the change in the anatomy and the physiology. There's a change in the posture of the body. There's a change in some physique of the body. So we can't overlook those changes. So we need to have it in mind that even though we can engage in activities like any other person during pregnancy, but we should do that with a bit of modification, right? So the first thing is to nail it down. Regular physical activity promotes health in all phases, including during pregnancy. And this is very important because there's something called gestational diabetes. Now, gestational diabetes actually occur between like the second trimester, and the third trimester of pregnancy. So what I mean by the second trimester is talking about like 14 to like 26 weeks of pregnancy. The third trimester is talking about 27 to about 40 weeks of pregnancy. Most times, gestational diabetes is actually like diagnosed by, they use things like oral glucose, test to detect that. And one of the reasons why this happens is because maybe the person is even diabetic before the pregnancy, and the person is not even out. And that's like family history. That thing is because maybe the person have already experienced a large birth. I'm talking about the weight of the baby being given birth to previously is a bit like large birth weight. And also an obesity is also a factor. So when gestational diabetes occur, it is a bit of a, there will be issue with the blood glucose level. I mean, talking about insulin resistance and things like that. So it's very important that we know that regular physical activity, even before pregnancy, is very important. During pregnancy is also very important with modification, because if someone do engage in regular physical activity before that, there's a possibility that even if the person might be diagnosed of gestational diabetes, the severity or the severity I would put it might be minimal. And if you even engage in activity during pregnancy, the effect might be minimal. So we can't rule out the fact that regular physical activity helps a lot. So I want to just debunk that news or the stories behind that oh, it's not, it's fine. But then we still, as we go on, we talk about what are the activities, what are the guidelines, because that's very important. It's fine doesn't mean that I get on treadmill and put my the speed up to maybe 6.0 miles per hour, 4.5 miles per hour. That's not what I'm saying. You know, you don't do that because that's dangerous, right? But then following important, and what are the type of activities that we can do? Very important. But activity and exercise is very important and good for health during pregnancy. Thank you.
Okay, so there was this question I saw somewhere, and someone said, and I even thought about it. I gave it a thought in a second. Like, you know, there was when during domestic violence, we hear that any pressure to the abdomen per se could lead to complications like premature or forced abortion, what as it is called. And someone asked, what if they jumping up and all these things? Is it not possible that this thing can break the amniotic sac and get the fluids flow away and the embryo die and all this? Have you not seen it? Like, the jumping up doesn't have issues. Like, are you like asking, should we use this fact? Study. We can see this thing physically now. So what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And that is why, no matter the guidelines for exercise, even for pregnancy and situation or chronic disease and other things, the first thing is that the first advice is don't compare yourself with another person. Like, pregnant might just be beside you. That the person is doing it in a kind of vigorous way. That doesn't mean you should do it. The first thing is to understand the way our thing differs. For example, I can decide to I can start jogging and 30 minutes I'm still going, like 1 hour I'm still going. That doesn't mean someone will do the same, should follow my program. You need to understand your home body to exactly for you. So the first thing is, the one thing I spoke about is a guideline principle. The guideline is there to guide us on what modalities or what actually is the modality surrounding the exercise program or the physical activity that we are engaging in. So, for example, you feel a kind of a persistent severe contraction within the uterine wall, and then that's just an indication that no movement for that particular thing. You just feel some blood discharge with private part. That is not really a time to actually exercise. You feel persistent shortness of breath. Maybe for exercise, is an indication to stop exercising. And there are some, even if you're active before, there's some things that you do. For example, avoiding contact sport is very important. Contact sport that involves maybe thrusting into the tummy and then some vigor of the muscle might be avoided. So why someone might do jumping jacks, someone who is pregnant can do jumping jacks and be fine. Another person should not try it if you feel like just at the first jump, second jump, third jump, you feel a kind of unusual contraction. You should know that the need for you to stop. See your doctor, see your health practitioner, your physician, and your physician can explain to you what is going on. If it is safe for you, then you go out with a physical activity on a minimal, intensity. And if it's not safe for you, the physician will let you know that you should stop. So the first thing is to understand your body. As we go on, maybe I'm going to talk about a brief thing about what are the things we look out for that tell you to stop whatever physical activity you're doing or exercise you are doing. So when you see all those things, you need to stop, consult your physician, let your physician give you better, idea, or let me say, information about what you need to do, whether you need to continue or you need to stop. And whenever you're exercising, always start, most especially for someone who, because a lot of people who have not done something, if you have not done something before, you can't just start a kind of high intensity body. You need to really, really pay attention that just like someone who is new, learning something new, you need to take it and you master it. That's what your body should do. So let's say you have not really been fit before pregnancy. But you are here now, you're listening that physical activity and exercise is important even for pregnancy. This is making you keep healthy weight. And if you keep healthy weight, if you lose, like those who want to lose, like for example, somebody say, oh, okay, I want to lose a bit of weight even during my pregnancy and blah, 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 like that. If you lose about 10 kilograms of weight, what you're doing to yourself is like you're losing about 10 milligram per mercury of systolic and diastolic blood pressure. You are losing, in fact, you have about less than 30% of being diagnosed of diabetes of all cause mortality. You have about 40% of being diagnosed of being obese or of dying for obese related death. Like, you know, so there are chances, there are a lot of benefits for you too when you exercise. These are facts, you know, like that are actually there to let you know that there's benefit in exercising. And when you do this, there's benefit to the body itself. But it doesn't negate the fact that you need to follow the guidelines. You need to and understand the safety precaution, and you should know when to stop. That's very important in this particular situation. So when you have those symptoms or signs, then you stop. And last thing is that you need to understand that if you have not been active before pregnancy, you can become active during pregnancy. But you understand, you need to start from a minimal level. Something very, after about 3 weeks, you can go to something about moderate, and you stay moderate a bit. At least you have the baby, and then you can then go vigorous. But someone who is a bit who was, you know, maintaining this kind of active life, or who is, you know, relatively fit before pregnancy, the person can start with less intensity. What I mean by less intensity, you just walk around a bit, and during pregnancy you can move to moderate intensity. Like you start less intensity during pregnancy, and you can still move to why? Because your body has a feel of what exercise, physical activity is before, not that you're doing it like just now. So you want to look at all those modalities, and you want to keep yourself safe and the baby also safe. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, John. I think you've made so much emphasis on the guidelines and all that. So I think maybe we can now maybe share a bit of the details we should look out for the guidelines, and probably, of course, okay, we'll still come to that place. So what exactly are the guidelines of exercising in pregnancy?
Yeah. In fact, I would like to say that at this point that even the host of the program, I mean the personal anchoring program, also they want us to like demonstrate some exercise, which is actually very. I haven't told them like it's very interesting. It's something that should be done, and it's going to have spice to it. But I'm more particular about what sustains what you do. I think I really will enjoy you doing something that you can adhere to and sustain for long. In fact, after you remain fit, right? So I'll speak on this recommendation and also talk about some of these activities you can do, things like that. So we know that physical activity recommendation for pregnant women is actually just like recommendation for those who are not pregnant, who are adults, with a bit of modification. What are these modifications? They are things like you feel some sign and symptoms within yourself. Like I said, maybe some irregular brain contraction. You feel things like some discharges that you think is not normal. You feel like you have a severe short breath, like, you know, and all those things, they are part of it. So if you feel all those things, there's a need for you to, those are the modification. But apart from that, you can just do as much as you can do what other people, I mean, people who are not pregnant can also do. So what are these things that you can actually do? One thing is maintaining a physical activity, maintaining about doing moderate intensity activity, or let me say light to moderate intensity activity for about 150 minutes. And I'll try to break it down. What do I mean by 150 minutes in a week? So I talk about you're able to do something like 3 days.
150 minutes in a week, right?
So you can break it down like per day. If you do 30 minutes per day for 5 days, it's going to be 150 minutes in a week. So a moderate here is not really, you can do things like maybe light jogging. You can do things like walking around your compound, because you don't want to go out too much, safety purpose and all those things. You can walk around your compound. If you have like a stairs or something, you can climb, you go up, then you come down, you know, instead of telling someone to bring something for you in your room, you can just get up and walk to that room and come back. Right?
So just sounds like a like physical activity.
Yes.
Like it's just
the essence you want to remain moderately active for 30 minutes in a day. And even according to guidelines, you can even do this in a bout of 10 minutes. It's actually very, very, very valid. So bout of 10 minutes means that you can engage in physical activity exercise for 10 minutes. For example, you can do things like maybe you just jog around. Maybe you have a space in your house for 10 minutes, right? Maybe you just like walk around, vigorously, like a brisk walking for about 10 minutes. And you do that for about 3 times. That makes 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So you can break it down. So, but just keep in mind that 150 minutes of 150 minutes per week, very important. You can do this 30 minutes each day. And also think that you know is that incorporating things like yoga activity and stretching is very important. And also pelvic floor activity. Now, yoga is maybe not really popular like that in the area. I think so. But yoga is something that will, it's a way to actually, I think it engages it like it's important for you to stretch, important for you to maintain strength. There's some yoga that's in maintain strength, and also even for meditation. So yoga is very important at this point. Stretching is whereby maybe for an activity you do a bit of stretches, and after activity you do a bit of stretches. And there's one more thing called pelvic floor activity. Pelvic activity it's what pelvic activity does is that it strengthens a lot of a strengthening group of muscles. One is that it strengthens the lower the muscles of the lower back, even down to then it picks a bit of the hamstring. I don't want to go a bit into that, but it strengthens muscle of the lower back, and you need that because during contraction when you're pushing baby, you're gonna need some activation of muscles from those particular very important. So all those things are things that you can do, but make sure that you do more of aerobic activity. So I say first thing is that make sure you maintain about 150 minutes per week. So you can break it down into 30 minutes each day and try to focus on those activities that you do on a daily basis. For example, let's say you take your car to buy something down the street, which is not really far. Why don't you walk? Now, today you walk for about 20 minutes. You do that again, 20 minutes. Beat that time the next day. Try to walk for 15 minutes. That way you're increasing your intensity. The reason I'm saying is because if you convert your daily activity into a kind of exercise mode, you might actually stick with the plan. Now, for people who are very, very interested, very, very I just want to exercise, it's very important. You can do something within your house, right? You can do things like you jog on the spot, regulate your time for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, give yourself a break, a rest about 50 seconds, 40 seconds, 30 seconds. Walk around your compound, maybe lift a bit of things. For example, you can put water into your water, like maybe you have 1 liter of bottle, you just have your water inside and then you lift it. That will and be a bit of training for you. And all those things is like when you regulate all those things, you convert your day-to-day activity. And if you are well more interested, then you can subscribe to a gym and tell them to follow those guidelines for you. And please report any modification. And that will really help. So that's one way to go.
Okay. All right. So thank you, John. Very huge takeaway. Instructional that we should engage in exercise for 150 minutes per week, moderate intensity exercise, 150 minutes per week. And it doesn't mean the 150 minutes must be in a day. So you can actually break it down into minutes that will be very suitable for you according to your body so that you won't get of course, exercise is supposed to be fun, not a punishment. So you don't have it in such a way that it becomes a punishment to you. Okay, so we have very few minutes to go. And before we go, let's just take one more question should be good. And you talked about contact sports. The point where you said they should avoid contact sports. So are there other exercises that one must avoid, including contact sports during pregnancy, to avoid issues at this period of time.
Yeah, because of our time, I will rush through that. So the reason why maybe vigorous intensity sports, speaking with some like using a term now, anything above 8 MET, that's metabolic equivalent, is actually like
MET.
Above 8 MET.
How can the MET be measured so that they can be?
If you let's say you want to do something like basketball, you want to do like running vigorous intensity, or want to play basketball, or we involve moving from one place to another with a bit of that, you might be using up to that. I'm not saying exactly that, but you might be. We're just giving it a range, using up to that. And another thing is that contact sport might involve things like, just like the word contact. So you don't want any contact to your abdomen, and you don't want some very vigorous like contraction within that period of time too. So what are the sports you can? Number one is you have to be sure that are you even doing this before pregnancy? If you are not doing this before pregnancy, it might not really be safe for you to start considering doing sport. I mean, sport like
the person is not doing it on at all, like none at all.
So if you are not doing sport at all, I think you can start. It's not you can engage in sports if you want to, but you can start with a less intensity kind of activity. Okay. So in this way, you do things like walking, you do things like swimming. It's not necessarily like maybe you want to maybe you take the shallow end and just move in water and just make sure you are moving your body and you can swim. That's perfect for you, right? You can do things like walking on your bike. You go on a bike or, on a stationary bike and you just ride the bike for about 30 minutes. You can do about 10 minutes of bout interval. You do 10 minutes, you stop for 1 minute, just with your husband, talk with your husband, have to laugh and everything. Relax about 2 minutes, go on the bike again, do 10 minutes and all those things. It's very important for you. If you are someone who want to do something like sport, you can consider things like racket sport. Do you want to go gaming? You can do badminton. Badminton is very interesting. All right. So it enables you to move just gently and everything. Do this with your spouse. And I want to say this even to the men who are actually watching. It's actually a time whereby you need to also like encourage your wife. And do this with them once in a while, if not whole, like maybe weekend. Because do this with them, you kind of motivated. Because one of the things that makes exercise and physical activity interesting is what we call social support. If your wife is like doing this and you are not giving your wife the real support that the family is actually supporting the wife get exhausted. So one thing also apart from looking at the physiology perspective, we should not neglect the psychology perspective. Social support. Babe, you are doing fine. Come on, let's do this together. Go jogging. Let's play together. And all those. What you are doing is that you are supporting your wife psychologically. And what that does is that it gives the psychological benefit of that exercise. Reducing stress, which is reducing depression. It keeps that anxiety low. And you want to keep the anxiety low because the day that coming forth, we need to. So when that thing is already low, depression low, and all these things, stress very minimal, it gives a better for healthy and safe delivery. So I'm just pushing this to family members, husband, people around. Please help those who are pregnant around you and just give them the support they need. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, John. You've done so much work for us this evening. If not that we're constrained with time, because this is 30 minutes about idealmedhealth. If not that we're constrained with time, I know we have so much more you could have told us this evening. Thank you for coming around. Thank you for giving us your time. It's a wonderful thing having you around. Tell us so much about exercising and pregnancy. Exercising pregnancy. So John Ogini John is a CEO of Sterling Flexors. Sterling Flexors. We know we're going to talk about Sterling Flexors later on. We'll have so much to talk about anyway. So it's on Instagram at Sterling Flexors, and of course his personal handle is Ogini John. So you can always get to asking questions on anything we feel we need to know more about. And again, if you have any issues, even before starting any of these exercises, always advise you talk to your gynecologist right first. And of course, your gynecologist will even be the one to tell you if you're in the good state to start any of these exercises. Very important. Do not underestimate it. So you don't just go, like John earlier said, rush into an exercise because you feel every other person is doing it, or someone who has been pregnant in your family did this exercise when he was, so you feel okay, you can do it yourself. So it's important you talk to your gyno first. Okay. Thank you very much, John. Thank you everyone for coming around, and if you want to get so much information on health matters, you can always visit our website at www.idmedhealth.com, or you can visit any of our social media handles, idmedhealth. It's just there, YouTube and everyone. It's just there. Thank you very much, John, for this night. Do enjoy my soul.
Yeah. Just one more thing. If it's also possible, maybe on the website,
Okay.
maybe I can also just do a bit of maybe a short video to demonstrate some of these specifics.
Oh, yeah.
Just reach out, check on the website, and
Yes.
Do it like
Yes,
that. So
yes. So some of these videos, most especially the very important videos on exercise, John will have it. John is an exercise person. Exercise is sweet and smooth. If you just see exercise, but you do like this. So he would put up some videos for us, and we'll have it in our handles, so where you can come and see it, and you enjoy yourself. You have fun while you are pregnant, hoping to born the king or the queen. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody, for checking up on us this evening. Thank you, John. God bless you.